Shout out to Facebook, LinkedIn, and X on the camera. Shout out to Instagram here on the phone. I got a quick and dirty live broadcast for you. If you don't know me, my name is Ren Jones. What I'm going to talk to you today about is the BMI, right? And some of the vestiges of the BMI. BMI, BRI, and whether or not they're both BS. I have a lot of mixed feelings about both of them. I think that they can be helpful. I think the ways they're most commonly used are not helpful. But let's take a rundown of the BMI, and you guys can decide for yourselves what you think about each. I'd love to get some commentary from you about both of them. So let's start with BMI because it's most widely understood. Oh, before I get into that, I got to pay the bills. My 15-week signature program for women in midlife is enrolling right now. It's called Women's Liberation Movement. If you're a woman in midlife who is challenged by the shifting of hormones, I'm a menopause informed and certified personal trainer and nutrition coach, and my 15-week signature program will help you feel a little bit more like you're at home in your own body again. We work through nutrition, but we don't do any restrictions, no calorie counting, no macronutrient counting. That tends to drive the stress up. We don't want any more stress in midlife than we have to endure already. But if it sounds like something that might be helpful for you, I'm enrolling until Sunday, until the end of this week, the 30th of June, I think is what Sunday is. I'm taking 5 new clients. Just DM me the word live, LIVE, and I'll know that you saw me here. And we'll have a quick chat, see if what I do might be a good fit for you. Let's dive into BMI. If you've been to a doctor's office lately, if you've had a medical visit, if you've been assessed for life insurance and maybe even health insurance lately, you're familiar with the BMI. It stands for the body mass index. Now, what most people don't know about the BMI is the origin of it, how it originated, how it made its way into popularity in the United States, and some of the BS behind it. We've also got a new iteration of the body mass index, BMI, called BRI. I spoke about this last Wednesday on my weekly show on Instagram, Hump Day Live. But the BRI is the body roundness index. I hate the name. Gosh, I hate the name. But I understand. And the body roundness index apparently takes into account a few more things that the BMI doesn't. So let's talk about the origin really quickly. 1800s, somewhere between 1830 and 1850, an astronomer and mathematician, I believe his last name is pronounced Quetelet. I didn't take French, but it's Quartelet, Quetelet, Jacques Quetelet. Is everybody in France named Jacques? Anyway, it was devised back then, and the idea behind the formula for what eventually became the BMI was that this astronomer and mathematician was trying to find what he called, I think he called it the modern man or everyman or the average man. He was trying to discover what represents the average man. Now, he did this by surveying Western European men in the 1800s in terms of their height and weight. The body mass index calculation, as he devised it, was never meant to be utilized for individual assessment. He actually said that, which begs the question, why do we use it for individual assessment now? God only knows. But it was not meant for individual assessment. It was meant to assess a population and, again, devise or understand what the average man was. Fast forward to 1972, got a gentleman named Ansel Keys, who's a physiologist, who is researching, population health, refers back to that original calculation by Quetelet and uses that as the basis for something called a body mass index. Now, it's been long rumored that the other reason for body mass index was to allow insurance actuaries a way to assess risk. If you don't know what an actuary is, it's a number cruncher, a person who tries to figure out, based on who you are generally, what the likelihood is of you dying and at what point. Actuaries help to assess the risk on the behalf of the insurance company if they insure you for life insurance, for instance. They're the people that figure out, okay, what's the chance of Ren dying? So BMI started as pretty much an experiment in the 1830s amongst Western European men to figure out, for an astronomer and mathematician to figure out what the average man was. Of course, this wasn't the average man because there's only a small group of people in one section of the world. And then it moved into BMI in 1972 when Ansel Keys decided, I need a health assessment, a physiologist. I need a health assessment. I'm going to use that old formula and construct something called a body mass index. Now, obviously, there are issues with BMI that too long. It's a CVS receipt long list for me. The first being that it doesn't do a good job of assessing someone who is particularly dense in their body, muscular. If you have muscle on your body, particularly when combined with your height, you're going to show up as overweight on the BMI chart. I'm overweight by BMI. I'm not in the obese category yet, but at my height and my weight, due to the fact that I strength train, I'm considered overweight. The second problem with the BMI is that it's not great for assessing other populations. For instance, people of Polynesian descent have a tendency to be very healthy at higher weights. The third problem is it causes sometimes a jumping to conclusion, right? Instead of properly and fully assessing a human, instead of checking like their capacity for oxygen, VO2 max, instead of assessing heart rate, instead of assessing blood work, instead of assessing cardiorespiratory output, the BMI can sort of bias someone to jump to a solution for everything being weight loss, right? My knees hurt. Oh, maybe you need to lose weight. I have aches and pains in other places. Maybe you need to lose weight. I've got a cough. I've got a cough that I can't get rid of. Maybe you need to lose weight, right? That's the negative side. It can really cause someone to, in a medical setting, it can cause them to assume that the solution to whatever concern you bring in is weight loss. On the positive side, it can give us population-wide assistance. We saw that during COVID when they used BMI as a way to move people to the front of the line for vaccine. I'm not here to talk about vaccination and where you believe in that. Let's not go there. But that population-wide assessment of, okay, people with BMI over this need to be first in line for COVID vaccine, COVID shot, you're most at risk. So can it help? Sure. Was it ever meant for individual assessment? No. The person who came up with the calculation for BMI said specifically, we don't need to use this shit on individuals. He didn't say it like that. He was at the 1830s and he was Belgian. So I don't have the accent. But effectively what he said was, this is not meant for individual assessment. This is meant for a generalized assessment of the population. Enter now the BRI chart, the body roundness index. Now, I hate the name. Again, I'm going to say that every time I say it. I hate the name, but what the BRI chart, the body roundness index, does is it takes height and weight, just like BMI does. It also takes sex or gender, if you prefer, sex and gender. It also takes age. It also asks for ethnicity. It also asks for the circumference measurement around the waist and circumference measurement around the hips. I pulled up a BRI chart. You can Google this, by the way, if you want to go to your favorite search engine and Google BRI chart. You can enter your information in there, the body roundness index BRI calculator. It asks you if you want to work in U.S. units or metric. If you're a male or female, what your ethnicity is. And at the time of this recording, I'm looking at the BRI chart. The choices for ethnicity are Mexican American, Black, Asian, or white. It asks for your age. It asks for your height. It asks for your weight. It asks for your waist circumference in inches. It asks if you want to use your hip measurement. And then it gives you a calculation that tells you if you're in a healthy zone or not. The interesting thing about BRI is instead of it working like a chart that goes this way, just a diagonal increase, BRI is a bell curve. The body roundness index is a bell curve. And what that means is in the center is where supposedly it's most optimal. So at the beginning, where people are sort of undersized and underweight, it kind of penalizes you for that. The idea behind the BRI roundness index is that if people are less, extremely thin, their rate of all-cause morbidity, the rate at which they die, could be influenced by malnourishment, by having not enough muscle in their body. We've seen study after study after study, particularly over the course of this year, about how important muscle is not only to physical health but mental health. It's a big bonus to preventing degenerative brain diseases, Alzheimer's, things like that. And on the BRI chart on the right side, where you have more roundness, it also considers it to be problematic. So on the low end, the BRI chart says you have a 25% chance, relatively, of increased morbidity, increased death. On the rounder, larger body size, it says that you have a 49% increased rate of all-cause morbidity due to the fact that you may be in a space where you could find yourself dealing with metabolic diseases, things like high blood pressure, things like high cholesterol, things like high blood sugar, etc. So the BRI chart, bell curve, BMI chart, straight line, and I think that they both have their place, but I think that most people don't know where that place is, where it comes from. I would like to see the day where no individual is subjected to the BMI chart. I think it's problematic because it doesn't take into consideration enough things. If you're going to look for an alternative to either of those charts, I would always say it would be your activity. I'm always more concerned as a coach with what's my client's habits than I am with what type of body they exist in at the moment. Because as James Clear said in Atomic Habits, good book, by the way, if you haven't read it, as he said, you should be more concerned with your trajectory than your current results. I'm going to repeat that. You should be more concerned with your current trajectory than you are with your current results, because your trajectory is an indication of what the results are going to be over time, particularly if you have a mastery over a set of habits. So if I'm not going to subject a person to BMI chart, if I'm not going to have them take into account the BRI chart, body roundness index, what I'm going to look at is how many days a week do you move? For how long during the course of the day are you sedentary, just sitting, right? They say sitting's the new smoking. That might be a little hype, but it's, I'll use it for this purpose. Like, how many hours consecutively are you sitting? What are your eating habits like? Not are you eating clean? Not do you ever have sugar? Generally speaking, are you prioritizing protein via animal or plant, either one? Generally speaking, are you ingesting 4 or 5 different colored servings of vegetables in a day? Generally speaking, are you staying hydrated with water? What's the extent to which you are drinking sugared or flavored beverages? I think all of those activities, all of the habits, they trump the BMI chart or the BRI chart, specifically because both of them damn charts can lead people to be biased. As my good friend Dr. Lisa N. Folden says, if you go to a medical facility and you have a condition and they say, well, the answer to everything you just said is to lose weight, feel free to ask, what would be the answer if someone who wasn't overweight had this condition, right? If you got the flu and they say, well, you need to lose weight. Okay, what do you tell somebody who doesn't need to lose weight about if they have the flu? Okay, then give me that, right? If you go in a condition and your knees are hurting and they say, oh, you can lose some weight, you need to lose some weight. Okay, if my knee was hurting and I did not need to lose weight, what would be your medical advice? Give me that. Because sometimes, due to bias, we can blanket statement everyone by saying, or if you're in a body that we don't find socially acceptable, if you're in a body that I feel uncomfortable with, if you're in a body that I deem as lazy or obese or etc., that bias can creep in to first suggest, in the absence of other deeper, better testing, that the solution to everything that you're dealing with as a patient is for you to look like you have the type of body that I'm more comfortable with you having. And that's bullshit, y'all. That's my quick and dirty live broadcast. I'm going to pay the bills one more time. I'm currently enrolling no more than 5 women in midlife who are making their way through that challenging menopause transition. I have 3 different course certifications in menopause, particularly menopause and fitness and nutrition. And my 15-week signature program might be a good fit for you. No calorie counting, no macronutrient counting. We are not trying to drive up your stress by having you do algebra every time you need to eat something. And it's over the course of 15 weeks. If that sounds like you, DM me the word live, Live. We'll have a quick chat in the DMs. We'll see if the program might be a good fit for you, and we'll take it from there. I'll be back tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Pacific. I did Eastern yesterday. I did 8:30 a.m. Central today. I'm going to do Pacific tomorrow, and we'll have another chat. Until next time, let's keep it simple. Facebook and friends, see you guys soon.